Hello, my name is Nigel Bowden. I'd like to welcome you to lesson number 2 in this short series of videos looking at the world of Mikrotik scripting. In this particular lesson, we're going to be building on the topics covered in lesson number 1. If you haven't actually checked that out yet, it'd be worth going back and checking that one out before proceeding with this one. But we're going to be configuring a Visual Studio Code, which we introduced last time. We're going to be adding some plugins to Visual Studio Code as well to help us with our coding and syntax highlighting and file transfer capabilities. We're going to be building a very simple script, a hello world script, which is the most fundamental type of script or program that you can build when learning a new programming language. It's a bit of a tradition that the first thing you do with a new scripting or programming language is create a script that simply prints out the phrase hello world, and we're going to follow along in those footsteps so you can see how to build your own script and run it. And we might modify that a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting as well, and we'll finally sort of run it and make sure that it does what we expect, and maybe do a bit of debugging if we've got any problems with it. So just to recap on the development workflow that we covered in the last lesson, it's a 4-stage process. We're going to create our script initially on a development machine, something like a Windows laptop, Mac OS, or a Linux laptop. It's just a simple file that we create, and then we push that across to the Mikrotik in our deployment stage. Then we'll actually test it by running the script on the Mikrotik device to see if it runs in the way that we expect. And if there's any problems, we'll have to do a little bit of debugging. We'll have a look at the code, see what's going wrong with it, and maybe fix it, push it across to the Mikrotik again and run it. And that'll be an iterative process, and we'll keep doing that until it runs in the way that we expect. Just to quickly recap as well, hopefully you've set yourself up a development lab which consists of some sort of development machine, a Mikrotik device to run our scripts on and test the code, some sort of internet connection as well so we can get various pieces of software, and on your development machine you'll need a copy of Winbox, and you will also need to have a copy of Visual Studio Code installed, and hopefully you've done all of that after watching lesson number 1. So we're going to dive right into the coding demo this time. I'm just going to switch across to VSC. So this is Visual Studio Code, and hopefully if you followed the instructions from the first lesson, you've got this installed and ready to go. Just very quickly, it's pretty straightforward to use. You've got a standard sort of menu bar at the top with the various options to fire up all the different features that you want, and then down the left hand side here we've actually got a side navigation panel which gives us some shortcuts to various features that you'll probably use fairly regularly. We're actually going to start off by opening up a folder to put all of our development files into. It's always best to have a folder dedicated to your scripts, especially when you're developing a project and there's a number of files. You want to put them all in one common folder. So I'm going to do File, Open Folder, and I've got a folder already created, and it's called Mikrotik Scripts here. And if I select that folder, what actually happens is VSC has opened the folder, and if there were any files in there, they would be listed in this left panel section here. The right hand panel here is going to be where we're going to do our code editing, and at the bottom here you can see we've actually got a terminal window which is opened as well. It's actually remembered this from the last time that I opened VSC, and if you don't see the terminal window at the bottom, all you need to do is go to Terminal, New Terminal, and it'll pop this open at the bottom. You can resize this the size of these panels with these drag bars here as well, and sometimes you want a little bit more space for your code at the top there. I'm actually going to change this. The console options that you have, or the terminal options that you have, will vary with your operating system. So I'm going to go for a more of a standard. Oops, I've clicked the wrong button there. I want a normal Windows command prompt, which I'm going to use to do the next part. If you do have too many console windows open, you can just sort of click the little dustbin icon there. Okay, so we've got a terminal here. First thing I'm going to do is also make sure that I can SSH across to my Mikrotik, just make sure I've got the connectivity that I expect. So I'm going to go SSH. Oh, before I do that, I nearly forgot. We actually need an account on the Mikrotik itself to do our to log into the box and transfer our files. So I'm just going to go across to my Mikrotik here. This is Winbox, which you're hopefully pretty familiar with. And if I just go to System and Users, you can see I've got a number of accounts here. And I could use any of these, but I'm going to just go through the process of creating a new one so you can see how it all ties together. So I'm just going to create one called YouTube Dev, and I'm going to spell it a little bit better than that. There we go. The group that we're going to use, I'm just going to give it full permissions, and you can decide your own level of security permissions for that when you're setting up your own environment. So I'm going to give this a password, something very simple that I don't forget for later on in this demo. There we go. Okay, so we've got a new user there, and I'm going to use that to log in with my with SFTP utility later on, and also for my SSH access. So we'll just quickly check that. So I'm going to log in with YouTube Dev 192.168.1.254, which should be my. There we go. So that's my Mikrotik device. First time that you log in, if you've not SSH to the device before, you may well get this key prompt. And the first time you do this, you just need to do yes, just to accept the key. And I've just got to put in my password, which is hopefully super simple. And there we go. You can see I'm actually on the CLI of the Mikrotik device itself. And this is really, really good, because when we're doing our development, we can have an SSH prompt here to run the scripts that we've developed, and it saves us having to keep flicking between Winbox or another SSH utility. So it's pretty useful. So if I just do system, just to demonstrate, I definitely am on there. What can I put? Clock, system clock, print. There we go. So you can see I'm on the Mikrotik device itself. So before we can actually start doing our coding, the other thing we need to do is install a couple of plugins. And down the left-hand side here, you see this extensions button. I'm calling them plugins, but they're also known as extensions. And if I click on extensions there, it actually opens up the extensions marketplace. And this is another reason you need to be connected to the internet, because to get these, you need to actually be have internet access so they can be downloaded when we decide which extension that we want. The first one I'm going to go for is Mikrotik. There we go. If you just start, as you type, it does a quick search and shows you any extensions which match. And the one I tend to use is this one here with the blue and yellow icon there by Mikhail. So I'll just install that. And you can see there's a little installing dialog, and it's on pretty quickly, and that's now installed and available as a plugin for when we're doing our coding. And this is going to be really useful for doing syntax highlighting and keyword auto completion. Just so it helps us with our coding and sort of helps us save making too many errors. And the other one we're going for is called ftp-sync. There it is, ftp-sync. So I'll do install for that one as well. You can see it says installing. I think this one takes a little bit longer, so I'm just going to have to be a little bit patient. I'm just going to have a sip of my drink. There we go, that's installed, and we're ready to go with that. They're both now ready to go. If I go back to the Explorer section here, this is the view we'll generally work in. One thing to notice as well, as each of these pages have opened for the extensions, you see them building, and as we open files, you see them building up in the tab along the top here. And any that we're not using, we can just simply close off. So now we're back to our standard, fairly default environment. So the first thing that we're going to do, we just need to actually configure one of the plugins so that we can do SFTP transfers as we're doing our coding, and push the scripts over onto the Mikrotik device. And so what I need to do is to actually go to View, Command Palette, and if I start typing FTP, we've actually got these ftp-sync options here. I think I can pretty much click on any of them, but if I go to local to remote, it will actually say, oh, hang on a minute, you haven't got a configuration file yet. We won't know where to send the files. You need to create a configuration file. So we'll click on this create ftp-sync config, and what this does, it opens up this configuration file so that we can provide all of the information of how to get to and log into our Mikrotik device in our lab. So I'm just going to put in some information now of how we can get to it. 192.1.254, and the username was YouTube Dev, and the password was devpwd for dev password. We also want to, by default it tries to use port 21, which is just standard FTP. We want to change that to port 22 to make it a little bit more secure. Excuse me. We also want to set it up to use secure transfers, so we'll set that to true, and we set the protocol to SFTP, and upload on save, we set that to true as well. And that, what that will do is that will actually upload our latest script file each time we save the file. So it just means that we hit save within VSC, uploads the file automatically, and then we can just go onto the console at the bottom here and run the script and see if it does what we want. So that is pretty much it. There's one extra stage. Oh yeah, I just need to do file and save on here. You see this little blue bubble here. If you see that, it means there's a file that needs saving. So that's just saving the config file there, and that config file just sits there in this little .vs code folder. It's called ftp-sync.json, and if ever you wanted to change the setup of it, you could come here and edit it, but it'll just sort of sit there in the background, and you won't need to worry too much about that again. There's one extra step that we need to do. For those parameters to be read from the new config file, you do need to close VSC and then reopen it, and then that will read that file, the config file, and hopefully we'll get automatic SFTP transfers for our new script. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now is we're actually dive into creating our first hello world script. So we do file, new file. We can also go via this option here. We've got this little shortcut here. We can just hit that, and that will actually create the file for us. In fact, that's in the wrong part of the directory structure. I've just exited out of that. Let's try that again. I don't want it in the .vs code folder, so now it's at the root level. So I'll do hello.rsc, and that's going to be the name of our file. And we always use the extension of RSC. That's just the convention for RouterOS scripts. So you can see on the right hand side now we've got our main editing area. So I'm going to start by putting a comment in here, and comments in Mikrotik scripts always start with a hash. So we put hash, and I'll put this is a hello world script. There we go. It's purely a comment. When we run the script, it won't actually do anything. It's just there for our reference. And certainly adding comments into your code at strategic points is very useful for when you look back on the code in the future and think, how does this actually work? So, but I always like to put something, a title or some sort of description of what the script does somewhere near the top of the file. And the first thing we're going to do with this is we're going to create ourselves a variable which is going to contain the string that we want to print out. So I'm going to put :local, and we'll call it hello. That's the name of the variable, and the actual text that's contained within the variable is hello world. There we go. and we always end the line with a semicolon. And then to actually print that out to the console, we always use the put command. So put colon, put, and to reference that variable there, to pull out the valuable, pull out the value of the variable, we actually put $hello. So we're literally just we're just going to print out the value of the variable hello. So that's pretty much it. That should be our first script. If I now hit save, you see we've got the little blue bubble here. If I hit save, if you watch down in the bottom left here, we should see an indication that the file has been automatically transferred to the Mikrotik. And before we do that as well, we'll just go into back into here. Oh, it looks like I've already got a file transferred from when I created it. I'll just delete that so we can see the actual transfer mechanism. There we go, that's our file list empty, and so hopefully when I hit save here, file, save, you see at the bottom here we got a message saying it was uploaded successfully, and if I go back to Winbox, there we are, we can see it's transferred. Normally you wouldn't need to check in Winbox. Once you've got that process nailed down, we literally can just work in this user interface. So what we could do now in here, we can, because we're on the oh sorry, I need to do an SSH session again back to the Mikrotik. I'll just do that quickly. YouTube dev at 192.168.1.254, and it's, there we go. Okay, so we're back on there. So to run the script, we simply do /import and then the name of the file, which in this case we can see at the top here is hello.rsc. So if I just type hell and then hit tab to autocomplete, that should run it. There we go. We've run the script there, and it says hello world. That's our first script. Not very exciting, but it shows you the process of how this works. If we wanted to just maybe do something a little bit different, I'll tell you what we could do. We could give ourselves a syntax error so we can see what it looks like when we've got a problem. So I've taken the last letter off the put command. I'll save that, which will cause us to upload again there. And if I run it again now, hopefully we'll get a syntax error. And no, we haven't. I'm not too sure what happened there. That should have given me a problem. Let me just try that again. There we go. We've come up with the bad command name now. Maybe colon pu is enough just to interpret what the command is. But you can see we've got a syntax error, and it's telling us at line 4, column 2. So if we have a look here, go down to line 4, and column 2 is here. If you have a look at the bottom here, on the blue bar at the bottom, you can see I'm on line 4, column 2. So it gives you an indication of where the problem is. So I'll just put that back in. We'll just fix that. I'll just save that again. That's uploaded. So hopefully now that will be working. There we go. So we're back to a working state. So we'll just do something a little bit more exciting than printing it out to the terminal. What we'll do, let's put it into the log file of the Mikrotik. So I'll do log and error, and that should hopefully put it into the log. So what I'll do is I'll just save that one. It's transferred again, and I tell you what, for a bit of a change, we'll run it from Winbox this time. So this time I'll do /import, and what we want to do is watch the log at the bottom here. So I do /import hello.rsc, and there we can see at the bottom we've actually popped the hello world message now into the log of the Mikrotik. So slightly more interesting, but don't worry, in future videos we'll be doing something that's a little bit more useful in your day-to-day administration and use of Mikrotik devices. So that's pretty much it for this lesson. I'll just drop back to the slide deck, and yeah, it's just a very quick recap of what we did there. We created our script, we deployed it to the Mikrotik, we did a little bit of testing to make sure it works, we introduced a problem, and then we debugged it, fixed it, transferred it back, and that's the standard workflow that we'll follow. But obviously on larger scripts, things get a little bit more complicated and it's not quite so straightforward. So in summary, we configured VSC, opened ourselves a development folder. We made sure we could open a terminal window in SSH to the Mikrotik. We put in a couple of plugins and configured one of them for FTP to give us automated transfer of our files as we edit them. And then we created a simple hello world script and did a little bit of experimentation with that. So that's pretty much it for this lesson. I hope that's been useful. The slide deck, all of the information about this video will be available on the website. So if you go to mikrotikscripting.com, there'll be an area there where you can download the information associated with each video. So yeah, hope that's been useful, and in the next video we'll try and do something a little bit more interesting. We'll start actually building a project. It will be a multi-episode project where we build a number of scripts and bring them together into a small-scale Telegram alerting system. So that'll be the next few videos. We'll build that up, see how that works, and step through that in a fair amount of detail. Okay, well, thanks for joining me. I'll see you all again soon. Take care.